I went out at night with some friends, we had a few beers and so on, a few whiskeys in my case, until at some point they started to leave. In these cases, I don't usually stay, but I had been at the beginning of the night exchanging glances with a girl. And, since at the time the last of my friends was leaving, the girl was at the bar next to me, I decided to stay a little longer. I was left alone and the girl came over to talk to me. All hot, well-built, straight black hair, tits almost jutting out of her cleavage. You get the picture. From now on, let's just call her Hot to make it easier. We talked for a few minutes, and then another girl came over to ask her to dance. The other girl was fat and kind of ugly. She had a rather large mole by her ear. She was one of those girls who, when she speaks, her teeth look like they want to run away because they're too far forward, and she had one of her front teeth overlapping another. From now on, we'll call her Fatty to make things easier. So, the fat one comes in and asks the hot one to go dancing, and the hot one signals me to go with them, and off I went. We danced for a while, then went to sit at a table to have a few more drinks and talk a bit. I kept talking to the good one, and she to me. She seemed genuinely interested, until at some point they decided to leave, and I, to make sure it didn't end there, took the opportunity and left too. Outside, without the music, we talked some more. She's a student, and the fat girl is her colleague from home and university. Halfway through the conversation, the fat girl was saying that she'd already eaten something, so as I knew that where one was going, the other was also going, I offered to take them to a place I knew nearby that is open from 4 a.m. and makes fresh bread, but also other things like bread with chorizo, snacks, and the like. So off we went. When we arrived, the good girl told the fat girl to pick it up herself, that she'd stay with me in the car and bring it in a bag so we could eat at their house. At this point, I was seeing things very still, at least in view of the good girl's conversation and attitude. We went to their house, sat down in the kitchen. The fat woman put the bread rolls with chorizo on the table. The hot woman went to the fridge to get some wine verde and beer from Lidl, put glasses on the table. And by this time, my drunken imagination was running high. I was so hard, I almost burst my pants. The Lidl branded beer should have sounded the alarm. Nobody there wanted me well. Next, we continued to eat and drink, and at one point the good girl suggested that I stay at their house since I'd already had enough to drink. I'd had enough to drink before too, and I took the car anyway to go to the breads with chorizo, but I accepted because it seemed obvious to me that it was a tip, and I wasn't going to miss the opportunity. At one point, the good lady got up and said, "Well, kids, I'm going to bed. Good night, and don't make too much noise." I didn't really know what to do. I'd already said I'd stay. Now there was no going back. Well, in the meantime, the fat lady and I had finished eating, and obviously I couldn't say to her, "Come on, tell me where I'm going to sleep," because I was the supposed guest. I had to wait for her to say, "You're sleeping here," wherever here was. And it seems that the here was in her bedroom, as I later found out. Apparently, that was a one-bedroom apartment in which they'd turned the living room into a bedroom, meaning there wasn't even a sofa for me to sleep on. Moving on. We finished eating and the fat woman told me I could sleep in her room and she'd go to bed with the good one. And I thought, that's not so bad. It might be better if I slept with the good one. But then again, in the state I was in, with the mixture of whiskey and wine and then beer from the Lidl on top, I was already starting to see things as a bit crooked. The fat woman took me to her room. I took my shoes off and lay down on the bed, and she was rummaging through some drawers looking for her pajamas or whatever, and then she went out and turned off the light. After a while, she came back in looking for something else and ended up lying on the bed next to me, talking and talking and talking. As I'm a very polite guy, I didn't have the heart to tell her to shut up either. And the next thing I knew, she was glued to me, with her arm over my chest and kissing me on the ear. Long story short, I ended up screwing the fat girl. Now I was coming home thinking, how the hell did this happen? I hooked up with the hot one, and she seemed to be interested in me too, so I ended up screwing the fat friend. I started by eating the bread with chorizo. Then, I put the chorizo in the bread. Could it be that this is an arrangement between the two of them? Could it be that the good one is the bait and I took it?